because you have to think back to David Cameron as Prime Minister. It was a defining policy for him to make this pledge of spending 0.7% of the UK economy on foreign aid. It was sort of part of detoxifying, as they saw it, the Conservative brand.
And it's in the law. It's part of the law.
It is, but of course the government would say these are different times, and they think they've got voters on their side. Polling has been done about this, but they cite in this particular piece here a poll that says 2/3 of voters are actually in favour of reducing that 0.7% pledge to 0.5. The government has said it wouldn't be forever, but of course how long is a piece of string? The compromise is from Andrew Mitchell, who Lucy just mentioned there, former International Development Secretary, saying make it a year. If you pledge to make it for just a year, we could perhaps consider that, and then we will support it.
Very, very interesting. And Lucy, the Telegraph, it's pretty clear what the Sunday Telegraph thinks about this. There's a pretty ferocious, tightly argued piece by Esther McVey in favour of the government and against the rebels on this. And there's a very ferocious leader as well. Their main leader, I think, is on this.
Yes, that's absolutely right. Well, Esther McVey, a former welfare secretary, a blistering article in the Sunday Telegraph today in which she points out that public sector net debt has already reached more than 2.1 trillion and that charity needs to start at home. She argues that money would be better spent on NHS waiting lists and funding an education catch-up package. And she says that, you wouldn't advise a neighbour to go into debt to make a donation to charity, and the same is true of the country. And I'll just read this final paragraph of the leader you mentioned, Andrew, in the Sunday Telegraph, in which the paper argues, Britain is good at private charitable donations and investment in the developing world and has helped fight global poverty by championing free trade and the free movement of capital. That's what true philosophical conservatives should focus on, not courting left-wing dinner party approval.
Certainly not left-wing dinner party approval, almost certainly in North London, I imagine, Joe. Now, moving on to another big story, front page of the Mail on Sunday, if I could direct you towards that, if you don't mind.
Yes, well, if you go in, well, it's inside the pages too, but it says number 10 fears blackmail by Williamson. They're talking about Gavin Williamson, the Education Secretary, as he faces axe in reshuffle. Now, this is a classic Westminster